NHL Nightly with your host, the sportsman, a.k.a. Peter Lebowski, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Pearlo, Wisdom, and Rico in Barrie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. NHL Nightly. I'm your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, a.k.a. the Sports Beard. With me, as always, is looking good, Mr. Steve Duncan. Pearlo, Wisdom. How's it going, Steve? What's up? But gotta have, sorry about that. Lucy, sorry about your Dallas Stars. We'll get to it. So, Pearlo, vibes got to be pretty good in Edmonton, unless you're a minority fan that tries to take a picture with Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
dude,
I still haven't seen that yet. I keep on trying to check out what happened there.
Okay, so I watched the video, and I thought it was much ado about nothing. They get a little handsy with them, but they just seem like I'm going to tell you right now, they're minorities. I think if it's two cute white girls, nobody says a damn thing. Just saying.
Probably, yeah.
Just
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure when I look at it,
we can watch it. But honestly, I think it's a waste of fucking time. We should be talking about the. Excuse my language.
I have a pretty good feeling that if I did watch it, I would be wondering what the fuss was about.
Dude, I mean, honestly, man, the players used to go out all the time. Have you seen the shirt with the lady that said I banged Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne Gretzky's wearing the shirt that said I banged whatever the lady's name was? Like, I mean, it's just different time, man. Like, it's like, and the other thing is, like, dude, I don't go to the grocery store, but maybe 4 times a year now, right? Because we have this thing called Instacart. Okay. Yeah. And they deliver the groceries to my house. Okay. Yeah. So it's easier. It's actually better for us too, because my wife and I are both impulse. So if we go, we buy a bunch of shit we don't need or that we shouldn't be eating. Okay. They also have this thing in the States called Drizzly. We don't have it here in Alaska, but you can have alcohol delivered to your house. I cannot believe there's not a service in Edmonton that will drive alcohol to your house. If you're McDavid, why are you going out and getting cases of
there is a service. Why is McDavid not using the service is your question. We have the service. We have it. So I don't know.
Am I bougie? My wife is saying I'm bougie. No, but I'm saying, like, I don't make $15 million a year and I can afford to have groceries delivered to my house. Right. You get a couple cases of beer, just have them delivered to your house, bro. Like, or wherever you're having the event. I can't get Instagram to work, guys, so I don't know. I'll do my best, but it's not working.
If I had his kind of money, I wouldn't be going to I'd just order it up, man, whenever I needed it.
And I know the Edmonton fan base is crazy because we saw, by the way, haven't ruled out coming to Edmonton for one of the games. I mean, if there wasn't a week in between each game, I might stay for 3 or 4. But okay. Anyway, we haven't been here since the wrapped. The last time we talked was before it was 2-2 Edmonton, Dallas. It was Florida hadn't put away the Rangers, but it was looking like the Rangers were going to be put away. What were your thoughts about those series? I'll say I thought Florida just straight dominated the Rangers, and to hear now Fox was injured, but they didn't say Jacob Trouba was playing with a broken ankle since the end of the year. So now I look at some of his defensive play and I'm like, okay, we absolutely have to give Jacob Trouba a pass. I know that Chicklets Pasha was killing him, and I couldn't disagree with him because he took like 11 penalties. But if you're playing on a broken ankle, dude, you're Jack Youngblood, you know. Yes, it's shout out to the Saginaw Spirit. We'll definitely get to that, Salty. The Saginaw Spirit win the Memorial Cup. We'll definitely get to that. What were your thoughts on the Rangers and the Florida Panthers?
That was pretty much the way I had it. I actually had a pretty good future on that. And it pretty much went exactly the way I thought.
I picked the East perfectly, except for I thought Toronto would beat Boston. They had the chance. They didn't. But anyway.
The top 9 forwards for Florida are some of the best two-way forwards ever assembled on one team. And it's not that the Rangers are a bad team; it's that Florida is that good. Really.
Yeah,
that's what
I thought the criticism of Panarin was almost just because Barkov was so incredible. I mean, Barkov has single-handedly shut down that top line almost. And I thought Zibanejad could have had a little bit more edge to his game. But I love what Salty's saying in the chat. Lafreniere and Shesterkin were incredible. I mean, that isn't a 6-game series. That's a sweep. If Alexander Georgiev is the goaltender for the Rangers, let's just say, that's a sweep. It's a sweep. Yeah. I mean, that's how good Shesterkin was. I thought Bobrovsky was good. I didn't think he was where we've seen him. I actually thought Bobrovsky was better in the I thought he was better in the series against Tampa Bay and the Boston series a little bit. But and Bob's contract isn't going to mean anything next year with the cap raising. So is there anything else you want to talk about Florida Florida Rangers series before we go to the Edmonton Dallas series?
Well, the only thing I'd say is fan bases, it's easier for them to say that this player didn't play up to par, or that player didn't play up to par. Because if you can say that, that means that your team has a chance down the road or can be better, and it makes you feel better. Florida beat the shit out of them because they're way better than them, Rangers fans. That's it. That's what happened.
Darkness said
if Trouba's playing with a broken ankle, there's certain factors that could have made it closer.
Yeah, Adam Fox was not healthy. Adam Fox
wasn't healthy too. So maybe that makes it closer, whatever the case may be. But that you can rest on that because you have a couple injuries. But Panarin didn't play bad. Trocheck didn't play bad. I thought Zibanejad played well. I thought for the most part they played as well as they could, and they got their butt kicked.
Hey, I'll say this. If I'm a New York Rangers fan, I thought it was Lafreniere's coming out party. He was awesome. He played incredible, and he made some McDavid-esque moves. Darkness, our good friend, Darkness from St. Louis area, says, you could make a serious argument that the Panthers lost the goaltending matchup the last 2 rounds. The rest of the teams just dominated in spite of them. Yeah, but Swayman and Shesterkin are probably better goalies right now than Bobrovsky. Another reason I'm worried about this next one. Okay, so Salty says Dallas was just snake bitten, so we'll get right into the Dallas. By the way, 20 people in the chat, like 10 or 15 on Twitter. Appreciate you guys. We can see your Twitter comments, so if you're there, leave a comment. We can see the Twitch comments. I couldn't get Instagram to go, so no Instagram, but I can't see your Instagram comments. Anyway, Edmonton beats Dallas, okay? And when it got to 2-2, Game 5 being the pivotal game, Dallas is up 2-0 in the game. They look dominant. And then, I don't know, a vortex came in. Edmonton imposed their wheel. And I have been critical of Edmonton because I think they have gotten not just puck luck, but look, no Thatcher Demko against that went 7 games. I wonder what the difference would be. Now, that being said, and then Pettersson was injured. It showed. And then they lose Besser for Game 7. I thought, okay, LA was a walk in the park for them. I think if they had to play Vegas, I'm not saying Edmonton wouldn't have beat them, but I really don't believe they would have beat them. And I think that series took it all out of Dallas because Dallas goes in and then they play Colorado. And by the time they get to Edmonton, they're chewed up. And I mean, they're chewed up bad. And I thought Edmonton had a walk in the park against LA, and they didn't have an easy series against Vancouver, but they stayed healthy. They stayed healthy. So that helped them. Now, no Henrique for a good part of that and stuff. But I felt like yes, Edmonton did awesome. They played great defensively. They didn't give anything up. And my heart is broken for Joe Pavelski. We'll talk about that later. But I wonder if Dallas has a full complement. The other thing is, the one area that I was a little concerned about with Dallas, and we really didn't talk about it on this show, was their defensive depth. Hawk and Pa being out hurt them. They were already rolling with like 5. And then they were talking about bringing in Leon Bichelle, who's like a top pick, going to be a good player. I wish they would have played him. They should have just played him. Sometimes feet to the fire. How many times have we seen in Stanley Cup history, you see a kid come in and make a difference? Sagan made a difference with the Bruins when he was 18. There, you know what I'm saying? Marchand was pretty young then. I just watched the Riot documentary that they did. I'm Just Here to Riot that ESPN did about the Vancouver riots in 2011. They talk about 94 a little bit too. But like, I forgot that game was 4-0 Boston, and Vancouver never like was in the game. And even, I mean, I'm surprised half the crowds didn't leave and go home, you know, when it was 3-0 in the third there. But anyway, I really did think Dallas played an unbelievable series against them. I think if they had to go back and if they don't lose game 1, but again, their injuries would have carried them into this Stanley Cup Finals. And I think we would have seen Florida make a 5-game series out of it like Vegas did to Florida last year because Florida was so damaged. So I do think the path to the finals is a huge part of it. And I don't want to take anything away from Edmonton, but I do feel like they got some really nice luck in the last series and in this series against the Dallas Stars. Now, you're the Edmontonian. You're there. You got the pulse of the city. What do you think?
The one thing I can say about Edmonton that I didn't see coming, I haven't seen this team play for each other like they are now in a very, 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 very long time. This team has become a family. They are playing super hard for each other. Is it going to be enough against Florida? Honestly, I would have to lean no. I still say Florida's going to win. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than I would have originally thought it was going to be. I don't know. McDavid has really took this team under his wing. They are leading. There's an energy about this team I have not seen for a very, very, very long time. And it's pretty cool to watch. I love watching teams that do that bond together and grow as a team and become like a brotherhood. And that's what it feels like it is. Now, that being said, I'm not in Florida. You could probably say the same about Florida.
I agree with that. But I want to comment about, because I've been critical of the Oilers this whole year. I haven't really given them their just due, and I want to give it to them. And just before you finish your point, the thing about them playing as a family and a team, that feels very much New York Giants 2007 against the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl, because a lot of people aren't giving them a chance. Now, that being said, this would be like Joe Montana playing for the Giants with Connor McDavid being on the team. You have the consensus best player in the world on your team. I really don't think Edmonton's that big of an underdog. And if they feel disrespected, it's really on them at this point, because they earned the right to be in the Stanley Cup Final. We got the jersey up there, you know, and I will say this, and then I'll turn it right back over to you. I could see the Oilers winning the cup, like, easily now. I mean, the 1-2-2 that they implemented, and I give a lot of credit to Mr. Knobloch there, Coach Knobloch, for making a lot of adjustments on the fly, taking guys out, putting guys in, giving guys rest, sometimes just getting a middle break. And you see a lot of guys, they can't get out of their own way. That's not this guy. And I was talking to my wife. I don't know if you remember, before the New York Rangers hired Peter Laviolette, Knobloch was a finalist for that job. I believe he coached their AHL team. Yeah. If I'm not wrong, he was the team. And so I gotta say, like, give this guy all the credit in the world. Now, he might be playing with house money when he's crapping on Buffalo Bills fans, because he said the Bills' playoff experience didn't really mean that much. I do think there's something to be said about playing in the finals. But let me get it back to you so you could finish your Edmonton point.
Well, one thing, I think Nurse's father is also an employee of the Bills, too. So might have been grinding it into one of his own players there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, isn't half of Canada like a Buffalo Bills fan too? Like, I feel like that's kind of Canada's de facto NFL team, and I know that's not.
In the
I don't.
East. In the
Yeah,
East, yeah.
but Hot Take Hockey's from Toronto, and he's a Seattle Seahawks fan. So I don't want to make the generalization that everybody
There's more Seahawks fans out west just because they're west. It's close.
Yeah, they're close. I talk every time I go to a baseball game at the Mariners. I always meet people from Vancouver. They're like, "Yeah, we just come down to see a game." Like they could easily have a baseball team in Vancouver with their population and stuff. Need to be a retractable roof like Seattle, but still. Speaking of baseball, that's where Subhuman. How's it going? That's where Rico is at tonight. Rico is with us in spirit at the Jays game. Hopefully the Jays are winning. And if we go long enough, maybe Rico makes the show, but I don't know. Pearlo, again, I'm sorry. Finish your point on the Edmonton Oilers.
Well, that was pretty much what I was saying. Like if you look on paper, Florida looks like the better team, except for like the top heavy. The Oilers are a bit top heavy. They're bottom 9, all through. Like their depth it's better than Dallas's depth. It's unbelievably solid. I don't think Florida's defense is all that wonderful, but it's better than Edmonton's. And when you're looking at Bob and Skinner, Bob's been there a lot more than Skinner. I mean, Skinner's played really well. So on paper, it looks like Florida should do something here, but there just seems to be kind of a magic going on with the Oilers right now that I can't deny. I just can't deny it. The way they are coming together and growing as a team and all that kind of stuff like that. It's almost something you want to root for. And because I'm an Oilers fan, I will. But it's going to be one hell of a series. I think a lot of people, from what I gather, there's not too many people giving Edmonton all that much of a chance. I could be wrong. That's just in my little small bubble of people, whatever. But I think they're going to do a lot better than a lot of people think. But I think Florida will probably end up pulling it out.
I think if Edmonton had to go through a tougher route, it would have showed that they weren't ready for the Stanley Cup Final. But I will say, I've been thinking that next year was their window. Like they're going to win it next year. But I'm going to say if they win it this year, I will not be shocked. I'm done doubting them. I disagree with you wholeheartedly about Florida's defense. I think 1 through 6, they're as deep as they come. I think probably the only deeper defensive team is the Carolina Hurricanes. And, that's really it. And honestly, Slavin does not look the same since he got destroyed by Sam.
I think that Dallas had the best top 4 in the league.
Well, but they had no depth, Pearlo, and that's what killed them. Like they had to play a guy who had been in the AHL for 5 years in their third pair.
Forsberg's getting a lot of love right now, but he's like an average number 1. Their forwards are making their defense look very, very good.
Yeah, I disagree. I agree with their forwards being I don't think there's a better set of defensive forwards, and they have the new Patrice Bergeron and Selke winner in Barkov. But I disagree. Ekblad, Forsling, those guys have played unbelievably well defensively. Now, you could say Montour, maybe not, the GOAT of defense, but still, they have played so well. And honestly, Pearlo, let's just go back to that Rangers series for a minute. They ground out a team like I have not seen. The Capitals, when they had their best forecheck, they would sit in the zone for 2 or 3 minutes. It felt like Florida was doing it for 5 to 8 minutes. And the only reason those games weren't 9-1 was because Igor Shesterkin, and look, we know the Rangers had some handicaps now post the thing, all the credit in the world. I thought the Rangers were an Eastern Conference final team, but at times during the year, they looked like they could win a cup. I think if you had to ask Chris Screwy some truth serum, would he go out and get somebody for the top right wing a little bit better than Jack Roslovic, I think he'd agree. Now, the thing about Roslovic is he's fast. He does nothing else well. And that's where Florida won that series. They were so much better on the defensive side of the puck from the forward and defensive side. It never was going to matter. I think if Wayne Gretzky was on that New York Rangers team, they would have struggled, man. You know what I'm saying? Like if you put a Mitch Marner, a really high-end skill guy, another guy on that team, I still don't think the Rangers win that series, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the only thing I'll say about this. With again, though, the way Knoblauch's got Edmonton playing, if this isn't a 7-game series with like overtime, I'll be disappointed. And hats off to Edmonton if they win it. And hats off. I said Florida at the beginning of the year, but I do not give a shit who wins.
So did I. We agreed on that one.
In my playoff picks, I had Florida beaten. I think I had Florida beaten Dallas at the beginning of my playoff picks. Subhuman says Florida in 6. But look, that doesn't mean, shout out to Tyler Remchuk, all the Oilers Nation guys. Tyler's been on the show. When he came on, it was when their losing streak was terrible. And look what's he going to say? And now they're in the Cup Finals. If I would have been able to tell him then that your team in November is going to make the Cup Finals, Pearlo, you wouldn't have believed that.
No, you're right.
Yeah, and so all the credit in the world to the Oilers. There's a good story. We should be celebrating it. I hope it's an unbelievable. Like I said, if this is a 5-game series, either way, if Edmonton wins in 5, I'll be disappointed. If Florida wins in 5, I'll be disappointed. 6 games I'm all right with, but 7-game series would be epic. And I really hope we see an awesome series. Okay, we've rehashed the shit we missed. Now we're into the Cup Finals. But before we get into where we're leaning and all that garbage, and maybe Mike makes it and Rico, but Mike worked late. So Joe Pavelski calls it a career. Heartbreaking. That was the one guy I was like, he's the guy I want to see win a cup. So my heart was with Dallas. But I still like Florida. They would have had to beat Florida. And with that D, who knows? I just don't think. But I kind of hope he decides to do a Parise next year and comes back half the season, right when that deadline is. So he can just play at the peak Pavelski, no banged up, unbelievable shape, and play in the play for him, because I think Dallas is so close. And they're about to lose Ben and Sagan. I think Sagan has 3 more years, but I think Ben's very close to being done. And they'll keep him, but they won't have to pay him $9 million, and they'll be able to add pieces. So I really think, again, if you're Edmonton, next year is probably a great year for you to win it all if you don't win it this year. But boy, Colorado's not going to get worse. LA is going to eventually figure it out. We don't know what Utah is going to be, but I think they're eventually, you know what I'm saying? Like, teams in the West are going to get better. It's going to get harder. Do you think Vancouver is going to be a playoff team next year? I do. Where are you on that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So if you're the Oilers, you don't know, man. Like you might. I also want to ask you this, Pearlo, and this I really thought about this quite a bit. If McDavid wins this now, do you think he leaves Edmonton? I do.
I would have at one time, but I'm getting the feeling
the cup and gets it for them in 3 years when his contract's up, and he could go to, like, say, I don't want to Toronto. Would he do so? If they win this year or next?
At one time I would have said so, but seeing the kind of family atmosphere this team has, I have a feeling he won't now. But at one time I would have said yes. I would agree with you, but I'm swaying the other direction now. I think.
I wonder if it's easy for them to let Draisaitl walk too if they win, because I think
Draisaitl. And I don't think McDavid needs to have Draisaitl there to stay there. I don't believe.
Well, they're going to add people if they lose him. I know it's going to be a big deal, but
Yeah.
Let's say Draisaitl makes $12 million in his next deal, which I think he'll make 13 to 14, because
you don't know what's in the mind of people, right? Like is it just Draisaitl want to? Is he going to be like Malkin and be cool with being second fiddle? I don't know what kind of personality he is that way. Like, does he have this urge to be the number one on some team and be that ultimate leader?
Well, and here's one,
I guess he would move on. But
here's one thing too, Pearlo. I selfishly want McDavid to leave there because I would love to see him in the East Coast just for the growth of the game in his prime after already winning a championship for Edmonton. So Oiler fans, before you come at me, just understand this is McDavid winning a cup in a hypothetical, either this year, next year, whenever, before his contract is up. He goes to Toronto, New York, one of those, like Gretzky did, Salty, for sure. The game is popular in the US 1,000,000% because of Gretzky. But you know what I'm saying? The second coming of
because at the time when he went to LA, that was like if McDavid went to Utah.
But McDavid could go to LA. He could still go to LA. LA would be a big market. LA is a big market.
Change that market. I mean, go somewhere where you're actually going to grow a market for the league, like Utah or something like that. Like someplace where it's still not ingrained in them, like Anaheim or something like that. I know,
but they've won cups, and I could see Anaheim too because, Newport Beach, California, really nice. Again, we're talking hypotheticals. If they win the cup, I think if McDavid never wins in Edmonton, I think he has a hard time leaving there because, I think he's set out to be committed to that organization because they've been committed to him by no doubt. Okay. So again, the hypothetical was he wins this year, next year before his deal's up and probably with Draisaitl, right? So they win the cup, boom, yay. Does he feel a little bit easier? Like, I can leave. I did my due diligence. And you only get to be a free agent maybe once or twice in your career. You got one career. Look, LeBron James going to go down in history as maybe the second greatest basketball player of all time, has played for like 4 teams. So, again, if they don't win, but I do think one of, or if not both. And I think if Leon leaves, I think McDavid leaves. Now, that being said, that could be contingent on whether they win a Stanley Cup or not. But as we said, the West is not getting easier. Vegas is going to be back. LA is going to figure it out one of these years. They're a young team outside of Kopitar and Doughty. They got a lot of they even play Brant Clark in the playoffs. So like that, they get, and goaltending, if you look at their numbers, goaltending wasn't LA's issue. That wasn't their issue at all. If you look, they got great goaltending from Rittich and from Cam Talbot, which I know that you can't count on that, but like Pearl, and you're but hey, Avi, I'm glad you brought MJ up. Avi says, and I'll throw it in the screen for everybody. Avi says, and Avi, thanks for being here, man. McDavid wins the cup this year. He's on pace for MJ status. I love what you said there, bro. But even Michael Jordan took a couple years off in between winning 3 championships. And he left the Bulls and went and played for the Wizards. I mean, he came out of retirement, but I'm just saying, even Jordan, who everybody considers a GOAT, played for different teams. So, I'm just saying, the West is getting better. Anaheim's getting better. Seattle's going to figure it out. Utah.
The team that would get McDavid for sure. Be Vegas. For sure.
I'm sure they would do everything they could to get him, but I also wonder, and that I'm telling you, that would be good for the league too. But I'm not saying Edmonton was probably the worst place in the world for him to go. If he'd gone to Buffalo, he'd been on time zone, we would have seen him, and I just think it would have helped the game. And for me, it's all about growing the game, and not. And again.
I found funny when people were saying, it's fixed that McDavid went to Edmonton. The league did not want McDavid to go to Edmonton. You're not growing a fan base in Edmonton, and most people...
No, because you know why you're not growing the fan base there, and this is not, again, it's because you all are already fans.
Yeah, exactly.
You're already fans. Yeah. So you're already fans.
Better for him to go to Florida or something.
I was thinking about... how
Winnipeg.
when the remember
like
when
only thing worse would be Winnipeg.
yeah, I get it, Avi. You're not a Vegas fan, but like I'll tell you what, I've met a lot of their fans. Hey, 22 in the chat, 14 on Twitter. Love it. Thank you so much for the support. I know we sometimes absent makes the heart go fonder. You missed us. Pearlo's looking good at his girlfriend's house, all clean, and Rico's at the Jays game, and I did hear the Jays won, so that's awesome. So I'm imagining if Rico makes it, he'll be kind of late to the show. Okay, so we talked about Joe Pavelski. Joe retires. There was a couple of assistant coach hires, and I wanted your opinion on Lane Lambert goes to be part of Craig Berube's staff. Lane Lambert, former Islanders coach, but I want to remind everybody, Capitals OG. If I ever see Lane Lambert, I'm buying him a beer. He was assistant coach with the Capitals under Barry Trotz when we won the Cup in 2018. He's a made man in my worlds. I love the guy. I hope he grows his hair long again because, Lane, while you got it, you might as well do it. So I like the hire for Toronto. And then Yogi Svenitsakovsky is promoted in the Vancouver organization to assistant coach. I think that's because of Mike Yo's departure. Now, I don't think they fired Mike Yo. I think he went to a different opportunity. Yeah. He took a different opportunity. Probably going to get a little bit more of a role and responsibility. And remember, Mike Yo was kind of the last coach holdover. So he wasn't one of Tockett's guys. I don't think Tocchet disliked him or anything. But they bring this Yogi Svetkovsky guy who's up. What is your opinions of those hirings?
I know a lot about hockey, and I don't know who Yogi is, so I'd have to look that up. But Lambert is he it's possible. We'll see as it goes, his career goes on, but he could be one of those guys that are just an amazing assistant coach. You know what I mean? Like that's really where his
like I thought he was great.
Muller has been like that. There's been a lot of really good hockey minds that were not really made for head coaching. They're more behind the scenes and stuff like that. And it's possible Lambert could be that too. But I mean, although it's really hard to say because that lineup for the Islanders was, how much more was he going to get out of it? We'll find out what Patrick Waugh does, but might not have been fair to him either.
Yeah. Do you have any? I will just say I agree with you 100%. Some guys are meant to be assistant coaches. I don't know what the power struggle there was with Lou and Barry and all that, and then Lane kind of got himself a head coaching job. I would say anybody in his position would have taken that job if you're offered it. I'm not saying he wasn't ready for it, but really hard to replace a coach of Barry Trotz's ilk. I mean, before he won the championship with the Capitals, he was still widely regarded as one of the best coaches to win a cup. Or not win a cup.
I have a theory about the Barry Trotz stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think he knew the opportunity in Nashville was coming, and he went up and talked to Lamoriello about it. And basically, Lamb said, "Look, I'll fire you, so you don't have to deal with all the bullshit, asking you a million questions about why you're leaving. So I'll just fire you, and I'll take the heat, and you go off to Nashville and be a good general manager." I think that's what happened.
Yeah, no, I think you've brought that up before on the show, and so Darkness is not a Mike Yo fan in the chat. Edmonton trading for Echo.
People are not Mike Yo fans.
Robbery now, yeah, Avi, I don't hate that deal for Nashville either, though. Like Nashville didn't need Ekholm; they were looking at rebuilding. It was a good move. And he's been incredible for the Oilers. You're not wrong. I agree with that sentiment. Okay. So the Yogi guy, you have any opinion on him?
I can't have an opinion. I didn't even know it came out of left field. I didn't know.
It actually just happened. It just happened right before the show.
Right, but so, I very seldom don't know a name when it comes up in the. I saw the Pro Hockey Rumors or something like that. Who is it, dude? I got to dive into who that guy is.
Yeah. By all accounts, it sounds like it's going to be a good thing. Again, you are sometimes made by your assistant coaches, but the absolute unbelievable job that Rick Tocchet did with the Vancouver Canucks this year. Like, if I'm a Canucks fan, I'm really hopeful we're not that far away from the Stanley Cup because you were in this series with Edmonton, who made it to the Stanley Cup. Like you got some defensive holes to fill after this free agency and stuff. Let's see if they keep Hronek and stuff like that. You know, that's going to be real interesting. But yeah, I hope this guy's awesome. Okay.
Here's a bombshell for you before you go on.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Is not interested in extension with the Jets.
Yeah, I think they need to trade him anyway. They got to make some moves there. I honestly, if I was a Jets fan, so Pearlo, you're a diehard Jets fan. This is a hypothetical. You're not obviously a diehard Jets fan. Yeah. You know the season that you had this year. You know exactly what you had. You had a great regular season and you did bupkis in the playoffs. Yeah. If I told you that was what your season was going to be, really good. You were going to compete for the division title in the Central. You were going to be right there with Colorado and Dallas all year, but you were going to be frauds in the playoffs, like Ryan Whitney said, someone told him. Would you go back in time? Tim York, good to see you. Would you go back in time and not sign Hellebuck, not sign Scheifele, and start rebuilding?
The thing is, it's the market is so freaking tough in Winnipeg. It's hard to get people to want to go there. So if people want to be there, you're almost forced to sign them because you don't know when you're going to be able to find anybody with that kind of talent that wants to come to play in Winnipeg. And it's really tough. I think Sheldon has done a hell of a job with that market because they are way more limited than most teams. That's for sure. They can't just go out and pluck any free agent out there. Like they got to really dig deep and find people that have a certain personality that's going to live in Winnipeg and believe in what they got there. And it's tough. So it'd be easy for me to say no, but a rebuild in Winnipeg too is just like it's almost death to their market. So they're so handcuffed in what they can do and can't do. It's really tough to say. But now seeing that Ehlers doesn't want to re-sign in Winnipeg at all. I mean, I remember.
I don't think that's the worst news in the world for them, though, Pearlo. That they already kind of need to move off some guys. I think Dylan they're going to lose in free agency. I don't think that's a huge loss for them. They've got young talent. They got Rucker McGrody. Yep, I met Rucker McGrody's mom at the Frozen Four, by the way. What a great lady. Nancy, I think her name is. Yeah, Rucker McGrody. I'm going to ask Colby Cohen to come on the show here, and he knows that family personally, and I'll get him to talk a little bit Grody for the Winnipeg Jets fans that listen. So I want to reach out to Colby, but I was kind of waiting for the playoffs to be over. We're going to try to have some big names on. I'm really going to work on getting some big names for us to interview and just to chat with. So appreciate all the support. Leave a like, subscribe. We're back to 1 day a week for the rest of the summer, guys. And probably in a few weeks here, that'll probably filter down to less. And then we'll be back to maybe a week, like draft recap and stuff. And then we'll go full bore again next season, 4 episodes a week. But I want to get some people and some players on and writers and stuff that work in the industry. So we really are putting on a good show for you guys. And we appreciate everybody that's been there with us since the start. Still working hard for you. It's just, I got to enjoy the summer in Alaska for my mental health. So, yeah. Okay. So you don't know what you would go there. I'm saying like, just be a fan,
Yeah. I mean,
would you rather not sign Hellebuck? Remember too here, you could have traded Hellebuck. You could have traded Scheifele. You could have traded those guys and started your rebuild, or you could have this season, which you did. I mean, in reality, they had the season. They had a great season. They had a great regular season. And again, they got like our friend said in the chat here, I think it was Avi or it was Darkness or somebody. By the way, good to see you. Oh, Avi said Jets went up 1-0 and then bang, Colorado Avalanche took over. But yeah, like crazy.
What I mean about Wheeler saying that he doesn't want to come back. Like he's saying it already, like he has no interest in coming back. first of all, that's going to hurt the value of Ehlers, because everybody knows he needs. He's publicly coming out.
Yeah, I don't think so, Pearlo. If they were gonna shop him, people are gonna know anyway. So even if he doesn't say it,
but it's just he's got 1 year left. He didn't have to come out and say that now.
Well, but Pearlo, that's the thing though. A team traded for him.
I don't even want to play for Winnipeg anymore. So trade.
Right, but Pearlo, there is still value there. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
I know there is. Yeah.
There's still value there because you could sign that if you're the receiving team, you could agree in principle to an extension before you trade for him. In fact, anybody that trades for him is going to do that. Yeah. Otherwise, they're
not going to be trading him anywhere he doesn't want to go. Yeah.
So Gabby, our friend Gabby, by the way, Gabby Oates, diehard Ottawa Senators fan. Great to have you in, Gabby. I think the Jets did the right thing having this season. 110-point season will inflate everybody's value. I think the GM will dismiss the playoffs as they ran into Colorado, and you can't get a lot. Look, I don't think their fan base is disappointed that they lost to Colorado, but it sucks that they had to play Colorado again. I mean, which again makes Dallas's route to the Western Conference Finals even more brutal because they beat the team that beat Winnipeg. And I think if Winnipeg had won that series, Dallas would have struggled with the Jets. They did kind of in the year. It was funny how that worked out. Like Dallas played Colorado pretty well. Colorado played the Jets really well, except for in the regular season, the Jets owned Colorado. So, I mean, I thought the Jets were going to win that series. I had them winning. I had them losing to Dallas, but I had them winning that series.
I didn't, but I didn't have them losing because of the elephant in the room there. Hellebuck wasn't good.
No, I agree.
That was a big thing.
Another reason why wouldn't you want to make those trades? If I'm a Jets fan and I could go back in time, I'd move on from Scheifele, I'd move on from Ehlers, and I would move on from Hellebuck. They've got Brissois, who's going to be a free agent, and don't they have a guy coming up too? So, I mean, anyway, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm ready for the rebuild now. But I think I agree with you. I think it would have been detrimental to the franchise.
Yeah. It's a tough market.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough market. Winnipeg is pretty finicky. They're not swimming in dollars in Winnipeg either. So if you don't have a great team or a team that they don't generally show up because it takes a lot out of the average person's pocket there. That's really it's a tough market.
So the Ehlers thing you broke, did that just break or was that from earlier today? And did I just completely
miss it? I looked up Pro Hockey Rumors right now and it was on the top of the thing. So yeah.
So I had not seen that. So that's awesome. Thank you for break. We just kind of broke some stories about. That's why everybody's like, why are these idiots talking about the Winnipeg Jets? It's the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going over some notes. We talked about Joe Pavelski. We talked about the hirings of Lane Lambert in Toronto and Yogi Svatskovsky being moved to assistant coach with the Vancouver Canucks. The Devils are looking to trade their 10th overall pick. To me, makes 100% success. They don't need any more prospects in that pool. They're obviously going to be served by getting Dougie Hamilton back. That's going to help them immensely on the defensive side of the puck. But they have to. Everybody knows it's their goaltending. If Tom Fitzgerald is unable to get a goaltender in some form of Jacob Markstrom or Olmark or something. Now, I would keep Jake Allen. I thought he played really well for them down the stretch. And I would put the Akira Schmid kid back in the minors. I think he's going to be a goalie at some point in his career. He's just not ready. And then, I think Vanacek played well for the Capitals. I don't think he's played well since he's played on other teams. So I would move on from Vanacek. And didn't they already trade him, actually?
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought they traded. Yeah, I thought they already traded him. Okay, so yeah, I thought they already moved on from him. So now, that being said, I think Vanacek can actually turn into something at some point, but we'll see. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Devils trading the 10th overall pick? It makes total sense to me.
I think they're going to have to add to that if they're going to get. There's only 2 goaltenders available. There's like 6 teams that need a number 1.
Well, yeah, I know, but like Gibson, there's ways to get goalies out of places,
Well, you can try if you want, but I mean, I think
Brissois would be an upgrade, and he's a UFA. I mean,
Brossois, yeah, but he's not a number one.
What about What about Ilya Samsonov? What about Ilya Samsonov?
Not a number one either.
But he won a round last year.
I go against the analytical group when it comes to goaltenders. I know that Vegas did what they did, and you can do that with certain.
Well, Colorado did with Darcy Kemper too.
I want a number one goaltender. Period. I don't want to be screwing around. Like, how many times have you seen it this year? Where this season, even where if you take Shesterkin and put him on the Oilers win the cup. Put Shesterkin and put him in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Florida wins the cup. You know what I mean? Like, I want a number one goaltender. Period.
Tim York says,
I don't want to be messing around trying to figure out if Samsonov's going to get his head straight or Brossois is going to all of a sudden pop off and be able to be a number one. I don't want to, like Carolina does. That's just no. I'm not doing it. They're a huge analytics team, and that's exactly what they do, and that's exactly their downfall. I don't screw around when it comes to goaltenders. Find the best number one you can get, throw a first and a couple prospects at them, and then you can breathe easy knowing at least you can win a game. You have a goaltender that can win a game for you. That's the way I look at it. I think this whole you don't need to pay a lot for goaltender stuff is, well, do whatever you want. But if it's me, I'm paying for my goaltender.
Two real quick things. Tim York says, I still believe Markstrom will be in New Jersey by the end of draft day. That could very well happen, Tim. By all stretch of the imagination, Markstrom had agreed to a trade and Calgary backed out. So I don't know what happened there. I can't wait to read that book 50 years from now or whenever they let us know. I love Gabby. Gabby, you are a great fan. I really want to see Ottawa be good next year. Gabby says, I think one Jonas Korpisalo would be perfect for New Jersey. That's because they're going to regret that Korpisalo deal, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. As an Ottawa fan, I'm sure you think that.
So Abby says you could have Ullmark at 10th round pick if we get Holtz. Ullmark's a UFA, Abby, so you don't have a say. You missed the window to trade him. I think so. The rumors I heard were the Bruins were really trying to get Elias Lindholm. Well, he got moved before the trade deadline. So I believe, by the way, I would not be shocked if he's a Bruin next year. Elias Lindholm, because they're going to have a lot of cap space
until 2025. So he's got one more year in this contract.
Okay, he's got a year left. Okay, but I mean that's they're going to assign him to an extension if they're trading for him. So you're not going to get that kind of haul. Now I think you can get the first for Ullmark for sure. But Fitzgerald's not going to make that deal unless Ullmark's going to sign an extension with them. They're not going to trade.
It all depends on how many teams Ullmark will be willing to sign an extension with. Because
right, yeah. Well, he had a limited no trade. So Pearlo, I was just going to say, he had the rumor I heard was that they traded Linus Ullmark to the LA Kings for Pierre-Luc Dubois. But Pierre-Luc Dubois was in the deal for Boston, which I would love. Yes, I would love to see him in Boston, actually, because I think that system and the way that team is, so, and then Ullmark said no because he had, LA was part of his no trade. And I think it had more to do with his family and not wanting to play in LA or whatever. He just didn't want to be that far away from his family or whatever. So Tim says, I've heard Markstrom plus Mangiapane for New Jersey's 10th overall. Might be a few other moving pieces involved. That would not surprise me whatsoever, Tim, because I believe Markstrom, that trade was agreed to as well. And I think just Craig Conroy didn't feel like he was getting enough back. Now, that being said, the great thing about that Markstrom deal is he's already signed with 3 more years or something. And it's pretty good rate. It's like 5.3 or something. So, yeah, I mean, if it's me, I would rather have Markstrom than Ullmark. I think Markstrom's a better goalie. And when Markstrom's on his game, he's really good. And I think Ullmark is good. He won the Vezina last year. But I also wonder how much of that has to do with the system Boston plays. Anyway, 2 more at 6. Thanks, Tim. Still, $6 million for a good goalie now is not bad, because Swayman's going to cost Boston 8 or 9 easily. If you're a Boston fan, you're hoping it's like 8.5, but that's what Swayman's going to cut. Swayman's going to get paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's the thing, Salty. They already have Wolf in Calgary. So Markstrom is not a big deal. And Calgary's trying to rebuild. If I'm Calgary, I'm trying to move Nazem Kadri too. If Toronto can get Mitch Marner off, they need to get him back. I'll tell you right now, Colorado would love to have Nazem Kadri now. You know, they would love to have him back, especially if they can play Middlestat if they keep him at the third line, which is probably where, you know, he would excel better. You know, he's just not ready to be a second line guy, I think.
I have a hard time seeing Calgary going into a tear down rebuild after building that new arena. I don't know.
Well, I know, but they're going to have to.
If they're trading,
they got to. They already did. They traded Tanev. I mean, Pearlo. They're committed. They've already got. You know, they moved Kachuk. Like they're rebuilding. McDavid broke that franchise.
Those Tanev. Those guys wanted out.
No, but he was a UFA. They'd be stupid not to trade him.
Yeah,
and they traded Zadorov. But Zadorov was a UFA.
I'm sorry, that Kadri contract.
They want to move that Huberdeau deal too. If they could retain 50% and move that Huberdeau deal, they'd do it tomorrow. I'm telling you.
That's a lot of retaining.
I would not be shocked. Oh, yeah, but you're going to be eating $5 million for another 11 years or whatever that deal is like. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's put it this way: they're pretty much screwed. That's what they are. They are messed up. Huh?
Okay, I think we've beaten the dead horse about the Devils trading the 10th pick, and we all played Tom Fitzgerald GM. They're getting a goalie, whether it's with that pick or not. They're looking to add, I think, I would not be surprised if Toffoli re-signed there. I think they're trying to add some more veteran leadership to that lineup now. They missed Miles Wood, and they missed some of those guys. You know, they missed some of that veteran leadership they had last year on the team that beat the Rangers. Okay, so per Frank Cervelli, he would not be surprised if before game one even, the Carolina Hurricanes trade Brett Pesce. And the teams are that he named Columbus Blue Jackets, i.e. former Carolina GM, Don Waddell is now there as the president of hockey ops and general manager, would want to acquire Pesce because he knows. I've also heard Calgary and Vancouver. And Vancouver is supposed to be the likely destination. So that's crazy to me.
I heard Vancouver was going to try to get Pesce and Shea, both of them.
Shea's the UFA, though, so they could sign him. And that actually love that signing for Vancouver. That would, and if I'm Shea and I'm looking to win a cup, I mean, if you don't re-sign in Carolina, because I don't think they're far away either, they got to figure out their goaltending.
What's
I agree with you.
Going to have left if they lose Pesce, if they lose Shea,
like eight.
I mean, what, are they rebuilding now all of a sudden? They have no general manager, like they have no goaltender. Yeah. Well, they sort of do. I mean, that Russian dude looks like he's a great goaltender, but.
Yeah, I was surprised. Weren't you surprised that they didn't ride with Kochetkov more than the one game he played? I thought going back to Freddie Anderson was a mistake. Again, they played the Rangers just was so good on the power play where they were just lethal. And I just thought also Carolina looked a little slow. But yeah, they got a lot of great young talent, Salty Nikishkin, Vladimir Gudlin, and Scott Morrow. Yeah, I mean, dude, they just drafted unbelievably well.
Nikishin, I think his name is. He's been coming up for a while. I forgot about him. So
that's our Salty, our mod letting us know. He's Salty keeping us. By the way, Salty, you have to tell us about how the Memorial Cup stuff went. It must have been exciting because you were there. We'll just say the Saginaw Spirit win the Memorial Cup. They beat the vaunted London Knights, who I thought the London Knights were a shoo-in for it this year. It kept sounding. Did you get to watch any? I didn't get to see anything, but there was obviously some controversy with the Saginaw Spirit and the London Knights this year. One of their players got suspended in London for 5 games for calling a name to a player on the ice. I guess is banned. So anyway, that was a crazy story. I don't know. Did you catch that?
Were you asking me or were you asking someone?
Yeah, I'm asking you. You're the only one on the show with me, man.
I know you were talking. No, I didn't catch that.
Okay, no worries. So Saginaw Spirit, congrats, OHL Memorial Cup champions. And now that's the Quebec Major Junior League, the Western Hockey League, and the Ontario Hockey League all play for that trophy, correct?
Yeah.
And so, like, Saginaw Spirit, it's the first American OHL team to win since, it's been a while, like 2014 or something. So that was pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah. Who was it? Spokane? I think Spokane.
Yeah, it was Spokane, the Spokane Chiefs. Yeah. Shout out the Chiefs. Yeah. That's the team that I grew up close to. So I like them. And they kind of have Chicago Blackhawks style jerseys, or they used to. Pretty cool. Okay. Oh, he says 08. Salty. I thought it was like 14 or something, Salty. It's not that far back. Anyway, Spokane, Pearlo crushed it. He knows because he's a Western Hockey League guy. And you probably get to see a lot more of that. Okay. So Pesci, I would really love, it'd be interesting to see what happens if he goes to Vancouver, because they got to make some stuff work, right? Unless Bester's going to be, LTIR or something for them. Okay. We talked about Trouba playing with a broken foot. I thought that was kind of tough there. So college hockey is better than major junior now. I can't disagree, Avi. As I'm going to the Frozen Four every year, I'm sold for life. Those are such great games, great fans. They just need to fix the playoff. It's horrible. Like the Frozen Four is good, but go ahead.
Actually, the UFA as well.
Yeah. They have 8 UFAs and 5 RFAs, and Chatfield is a guy too. So, hey, what's up, Water King Anonymous? Okay, let's get to it. We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but we got to talk our Stanley Cup predictions. You're in Edmonton. The vibe is high. The Oilers look unbeatable. Jack Campbell is the second coming of Grant Fuhr. He's not letting in the bad one, even though he had some bad earlier in the playoffs. He's looked great. Edmonton's 1-2-2. They're doing a great job shutting teams down in their own defensive end. That's why they're winning. They look comfortable 2-1, and they have the best player in the world. Who wins the Stanley Cup?
I'm still on Florida. I picked Florida before the season started, so I'd be remiss to say anything other than what I already said thought was going to happen. Of course, I'll be rooting for Edmonton, but so it'll be a war between my ego of being right and my team to win. But I still think Florida is just too deep on the top 9 to be to not go. And I don't think they were beat up as much like last year. They were beaten up a lot more last year.
Oh yeah, I mean they were not healthy. Ekblad was playing on a broken foot, and Montour had a groin problem or something. He got surgery. That's why we thought a lot of people picked them not to be in the playoffs this year, because they were going to be without Montour and they were going to be without Ekblad until like December, and that was when those guys came back. So they played that good. That's another reason I think we're underestimating their bottom half there as far as defense. Like they survived like 2 months. Look at Edmonton. Edmonton overcomes one of the worst starts. In fact, they're probably the first team to have that roughest start to make the playoffs. So they not only do they have that horrible start, but they at one point go on a 16-game win streak. And so, like, man, you start to think sometimes there's teams of destiny and who's got the best player. Tim says Florida in 6. Everything in my head says Florida, like I said, but if the Oilers play like they did, they could win it easily. I love what you're saying, Avi. Avi down 2-0 to the Stars in Game 3, down 2-1 in the series, and bang, won the series in Game 7. Yeah, I understand that, Avi. Like, I get it. But I'm telling you, I think this Florida team is a different monster, man. And I don't think they have seen anything like this team yet. And everybody's like, oh, Florida, they led the league in penalties. Yeah. How many penalties did they take against the Rangers? Okay. And how many penalties are they going to call in the finals? The spotlight's going to be, McPower play. If you're Edmonton, you're going to have to win this 5-on-5. Now, they didn't have to win the game against Dallas, but I think Dallas was just destroyed defensively. And then Edmonton got in their shell, went into the 1-2-2, and they just basically played prevent hockey. And they're lucky that Dallas didn't tie it up. Stuart Skinner stood on his head.
Well, they shouldn't have won the last. The Oilers shouldn't have won the last game.
No, but the Florida Panthers are not going to let Stuart Skinner see shots. They just played the best goalie in the NHL, in Igor Shesterkin, and they got pucks by him. So I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring against Skinner, and I don't think it's going to be Skinner's fault. So it's going to be real interesting. Again, I want it to be a 7-game series, but I'll tell you what, if it's a 5 or a 4, I mean, unless McDavid goes and Draisaitl goes into God mode. By the way, I kept hearing people say McDavid was hurt. He looks fine. So I'm wondering if the other teams were doing a good job just shutting him down. We forget how great a defensive forward Anze Kopitar is. It's still McDavid did stuff against, but Elias Lindholm did not do much against them, but I know he was on McDavid a lot, and they used him against McDavid. And I thought McDavid was kind of neutralized in that series against Vancouver. So, Hyman's scoring has been great. Yeah, he's been good. That Nugent Hopkins has played really well. He's the only guy of those groups that plays, power play, PK, and 5v5. I mean, that guy plays in every situation. He's been probably their team MVP, really, in Nugent Hopkins. I've been impressed. He's been good. So, yeah, I got to stick with Florida too, man. But I'll tell you what, Oilers fans, I think you could win. And I don't want to be a fence post writer, but hey, I think, I could see it going either way. I hope it's a really good series.
Yeah, I lean heavy. I lean like 70% to Florida. But
I'm 55.
I'm less confident after what I saw the last couple games with Edmonton against Dallas and the way the team seems to be bonding. There's something special there.
Yeah, but Florida too, man. Florida too. Kachuk brings out the entire staff for the photo. I don't know if you noticed, but they brought the whole staff out. That's a player thinking next level. I don't think he gets the look. He's not Connor McDavid, but he's damn skilled. There isn't anybody like Connor McDavid because he's freakishly fast and can do everything at any speed. So, and he's good everywhere. I know he doesn't play PK and stuff like that, but probably should watch him play PK in this thing, and he'll score 3 shorthanded goals. By the way, one more betting odd. Who would you put money on for our fans before we call it an evening to win the Conn Smythe for either team? So Florida wins. Who would you put money on? Edmonton wins. Who'd you put money on? I think you're wasting your money if you don't pick McDavid for the Oilers. I just think he's going to win it. If they win the cup, it's his. And that's if I don't even care if he doesn't have another point. And that won't happen because if they win, obviously he'll be a factor in a lot of it. Okay, so Florida, who's your Conn Smythe you're putting money on? Okay, Barkov, love it. I could see Bobrovsky being the guy.
He goes off, maybe.
Somebody brought this comparison up to me, Pearlo, and we didn't talk about it on the show, but the 2011 Boston Bruins is this Florida team. Oh, look who it is. We're just about to wrap, and we get Rico fresh off the Blue Jays win. Rico, you're just in time. We're about to close up shop. What do you got winning the Stanley Cup, my man?
Sure, was I cutting out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't hear you at all.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Yeah. So what? Who's gonna win the cup?
Yeah, who do you got?
Okay, so am I the split decision here? Did you guys?
No, we both are on Florida.
Okay, all right. I'll take the Oilers then.
I said the Oilers could win, though. I would not be shocked. But I was just saying before you came on, Rico, this Florida Panthers team, somebody said, this isn't me, somebody said that this, no Chara, of course, but this Florida Panthers team reminds them of the 2011 Bruins. Bergeron, Barkov, very good offensively and very good defensively. In fact, I would argue Barkov is better offensively than Bergeron. And Bergeron's was not, I mean, he's going to the Hall of Fame, right? But the guy who's seemingly going to replace his shoes in the NHL is Andrei Barkov. So you've got that. Just the grit through the lineup, like Lucic. Now, Tkachuk, obviously, he's not as physical as Lucic, but he's much more skilled. But just like Tim Thomas, great goalie, Avi, yes. But if this series is decided on goaltending, no one will be shocked if Bobrovsky's incredible, because he's been. Last year, he was unbelievable. I can see Bobrovsky having like a 9.8 save percentage, just being like on his game. Tortorella said to John Buchgras, he's the most focused athlete he's ever coached in his entire career. About Sergei Bobrovsky. He shared that with us. I was love you, Bucci, for that, by the way. Shout out Buchgras, and check out BucciOT.com and donate some money to cure Parkinson's. Shout out Barry Melrose. Anyway.
Well, there's storylines in this series for sure. I mean, you can just go right to the teams. I mean, the Panthers are looking for their first cup in franchise history. Canada is looking for their first cup in over 30 years. You talk about who's deserving of holding that Stanley Cup on both teams. If you think of a guy that would feel pretty good for the fans out there, if you don't have a dog in the fight here, I mean, you got to think of the guy that probably deserves it the most at this point right now is Paul Maurice.
Yes. Yes.
He's probably number one on that list. McDavid's probably number two, and then you could kind of argue about the rest of them there. But, I mean, the thing is, at Edmonton, it came down to the last day of the regular season, man. They were this close from playing the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It changed everything, man.
I agree.
They went through LA. They went through Vancouver. They kind of slipped in the back door a little bit. I know they went 7 against Vancouver. It wasn't easy, but
and Vancouver doesn't have Besser or Demko. The whole series, they don't have Demko. That has to factor, right?
Yeah, things could have definitely been
and they struggled to put Vancouver away. That could have been Vancouver's series easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. We kind of talked about that earlier. We went over Pavelski, the Lambert, and Yogi Sveshkovsky. Speaking of Vancouver, taking over as an assistant coach. Lambert, of course, in Toronto. Real quick, you can give your thoughts on Pavelski if you want to, but we're trying to wrap the show here. What are your thoughts about Lane Lambert, though, being a Leafs fan? I like the hire, man. I thought he was a great assistant coach for the Caps in 2018, was a big factor in them winning the Cup, just how he was with the players and stuff. Not going to be afraid to tell players they're not playing correctly. Where are you at with that, being a Leafs fan?
Real quick on Pavelski, Hall of Famer or not?
I think he gets in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. That's what I always say with the U.S. players. The fact that Mike Gardner's in the Hall of Fame and Keith Tkachuk is not is a joke to me. And the only difference is that Tkachuk's American. Mike Gardner never won a cup. And I know Keith Tkachuk has over 500 goals, man. I know Mike Gardner had some crazy goal scoring years.
Yeah.
He was one of the best players. And I don't disagree that he should be in the Hall of Fame. But the fact that Keith Tkachuk's not in is kind of ridiculous to me. You don't have to win a cup to be a great player and be in the finals. I just think if you look at all the 1,300 games played regular season for Joe Pavelski, he won a national championship. He played in 2 Stanley Cup Finals, 2 or 3. Was he on that Dallas team that went to the finals in the bubble? Or was that before he was on the team?
I'm thinking I'd say yeah, but not 100%.
I don't remember. I think he was. Anyway.
But yeah, no.
He's definitely getting in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, though. But I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but he won't get in. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing with the Leafs and Lane Lambert, they're going to have the toughest coaches. I mean, they'll kick anybody's ass if you go coaching staff up against another coaching staff. You got behind a bench right now.
Yeah, now all you need to do is just get like Rob Ray or something to come out of the booth from Buffalo and be on the team.
Or somebody with a little bit of finesse and knows how to run the power play like a Mark Savard. You need somebody else there to run that PP there, because that was just atrocious. And we saw it in the playoffs, and that was a small reason why they didn't beat the Bruins in that playoffs. But no, I like it. There's been nothing but good comments all around about Lambert going behind the bench. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. I'm just anticipating who's going to be next, and I'm hearing Mark Savard, but it'd be interesting to see who the other guy is too.
I saw our friend Kim from Isles Girl 3 from Kim in the Crease saying she was like I thought she was sliding a little bit. I think Islanders fans are a little biased, just the way he came about the job and stuff, but I don't think you can blame Lambert for the Islanders not playing. I think it starts and ends with the general manager there. It's time for 82-year-old Lou Lamoriello to go away the dinosaur, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's great Hall of Fame already, man. Like, unbelievable. Architect of all those Devils Cups. It's a new NHL, and you can't give backup goalies 5 years extensions. It just makes no sense to me. It's like Garth Snow stuff. It's like let's give Rick DiPietro the best contract a goalie's ever gotten in their life. He's never and look, DiPietro was a promising prospect, but I mean everybody knew it was a massive overpay. It's like
Well, I think that's when the cap was coming in. They figured out a loophole around the cap and just signed this guy for a Bobby Elias type contract.
Yeah. That you're thinking of, maybe you might be confusing the Ilya Kovalchuk deal that Lamoriello gave when he was 17-year deal. They're like, no, this is cap circumvention. You're not going to do this, even though Kovalchuk probably could have played that long at the time. He's damn near. I think he's still playing in Russia. So, I don't know. I hate to speculate. I just think he probably doesn't get in. So. All right. So you're going to Edmonton. Just before you came on, who's your Conn Smythe? I said Bobrovsky for Florida. Pearlo said Barkov. Who do you like if Florida wins the cup to win the Conn Smythe? Are you going to bet money on?
If Florida wins, or just
if Florida wins? Yeah. I don't think we'll have a loser one this year. I just don't think there'll be. I don't think that ever.
Well, I think Edmonton's going to win the cup, and I think McDavid's going to get the Conn Smythe. But
we said that if Edmonton wins the cup, it's McDavid.
Yeah, because
nobody else.
You can't take Hyman, because who's passing it to Hyman, and you can't take Bouchard because he's bouncing him off Hyman on the way in.
If Hyman scores like 20, I think he's close to breaking Reggie Leach's playoff record, right? So if Hyman scores like 30 or something, he could win it.
Yeah, I think he needs about 7 or 9 in the finals to
that could happen. That could happen easily.
Yeah.
If let's say it's a 7-game series, gonna guess Hyman scores are right around there. If it's a 7-goal game series, you better hope you're getting that kind of production from him, because he's been a line driver as far as scoring goals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So you guys took Barkov and Bobrovsky. I'll go off the board a little bit for Florida. This guy's got 4 goals and 7 assists in the playoffs. He's getting a ton of ice time too. And if he has a good final and he keeps on playing on fire, I'll take Gustav Forsling.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I could see it. Okay.
They love those defensemen for those Conn Smythe. If the goalie's not getting it, a lot of times the defenseman will get a bit of a nod as well too.
If you don't have a player overrunning. Yeah, if you don't have an offensive player overrunning, but I think the writers and stuff are so smart now. They really watch the game with the defensive side of the puck in order to. And I know Tim Thomas won it he was the reason that Vancouver team was very gifted offensively, right? Tim Thomas was the difference. He out-battled Roberto Luongo and Boston.
Oh, speaking of that series, ESPN has that.
I watched it. We talked about it earlier. If
I'm just here for the Riot
game, though.
Did you missed
it? Yes, I watched it. It's called.
I'm just here for the Riot.
Yeah, I'm just here for the Riot. It's unbelievable. It's an hour and 17 minutes. It's probably available on TSN Plus or whatever, because I think you guys have the same access to ESPN stuff. So please watch it. It's awesome. We'll be back next week. Just wait for the day, because the way the summer is going, if it's nice outside, I'm not having a show. And if it's crappy outside, we're having a show. So I don't know. I don't want to give you guys a day, but we'll be back next week. I'm going to try to bring on a guest, a big time guest. Going to try to work. I'm going to ask and see if we can get a big time guest that you guys No,
I got an idea. Just ask one of the guys on the airplane on Chicklets Air when you're flying there with the boys. Beer, don't you got your ticket yet?
Oh my God, are they actually selling tickets for that?
No, not yet. But
Because I would definitely consider doing it. I already told Pearlo it's a 1 day and 9-hour drive from my house to Edmonton. I may be there. I said, remember we talked about this. If Toronto makes it, I'm going to Toronto for the finals. If Edmonton made it, I said I would go there too, and Edmonton has made it. So I might be just partying out in the square. I can't afford to go to the game. I mean, like, there's just no way. I'm not even attempting to get tickets to the game. But I might be standing out there, like, wearing my Cam Talbot Oilers jersey. So, like, yeah, what do you do when you buy those jersey things and they send you this is the same place that sent me the 5 Jonathan Taves jerseys. In fact, I'll bring some of those Jonathan Taves jerseys and hand them out.
That's awesome.
So, anyway,
Pierre Engvall Islanders jersey. That would be good.
Oh yeah. No, I need
to bring that up for another one.
If I could have any Oilers jersey, I had a sick ass Messier and I had a sick ass Gretzky, but I donated those to charity. If I could wear any Edmonton Oilers jersey to those games, I'd want a Kelly Bookberger or a Dougie Waite. I was such a huge Doug Waite fan. 39 and 93 is my favorite number, because Doug Gilmour and stuff. So 39 is a close second, man. I could wear the Flames Gilmour though to be like trolling them. Like I'm here. I'm wearing the 89 Cup Flames. That would be Bush though, man.
I would have to call Pearlo to bail you out of jail if you do that.
No, I mean I know. Right after watching the Riot thing, I'm not starting no shit with you Canadian fans, man. Remember Rico's like, why don't you wear that Vancouver beret when they play the Leafs? How about hey Rico, you trying to get me stabbed in Toronto? On that note, we're going to end the show, guys. Thank you so much, man. We've been on for an hour and 20, so we'll hopefully have Mike and Occupancy back next week, and I'll let you guys know the date. We're shooting for Tuesday, but we'll just see how everything plays out. Appreciate everybody, and see you later.